I'm focused on this theory cause it keeps me from this fire. The Holy Ghost is with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about Kamala Harris doing her whole book tour thing. I think it's not going great for her. I think there's some moments that are really embarrassing for her. I don't know why she's putting herself through this kind of torture. Does she need the money that bad? No, she doesn't. So why is she doing it? Is this just humiliation ritual? Does she think that she actually has a chance to be the nominee again? I don't even know if she could even do well as governor as far as winning in her state of California. I think she's on a really bad path, but I want to talk about her. I also want to talk about Tucker Carlson, this clip going around where he's asked, a student at a Turning Point event. Well, I don't know if they're a student, but they say that he's worth $50 million. And he kind of like laughs it off. And I don't understand that. Well, I guess I kind of understand it, but anyone who believes that it's so laughable that he's worth $50 million, I think it would be laughable that he wasn't worth more than that. And we're going to talk about that and kind of this facade that so many people are kind of putting on to, I guess, appeal to their audience. To me, it's just a little puzzling because I don't know. Just be yourself, I guess. But so many people want to be something else to, appeal to an audience and get clicks and views and so on. So we'll be exploring that because I think we see that on the right and on the left. If you look at people like Zohran Mamdani, really capitalizing off of being a victim when he's very well off and lived a very privileged life and is probably about to be the mayor of New York. So lots of things to talk about today. Thank you. So you look nice today. Thank you very much. Hopefully you guys can hear me just fine. I'm in my sister's art studio today. Had some things to do, so I popped over here today. And behind me over here is this cutout that I made of my character from my picture book, Bigger. So I'm like, well, let me put him in the background because I'm like in her office space. So I just wanted to have something behind me. Why not like self-promote a little bit? Because you guys know I've been talking about my book for a while. So I'm so excited that tomorrow is actually my official release day for my picture book, Bigger. And it's going to be available on like Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. You guys get it at Target and Amazon, of course. Digitally, I mean, I guess you could go in a store and order it. Maybe that would spark some interest of them, actually putting on the shelves or whatever. But for me, it's good enough that you guys just go ahead and get it. People have asked, like, what would you prefer as far as where people buy it? I would prefer, I guess, people got it off of my site, but if you're going to get it on like Amazon or other places, it is really good to get it like when it first comes out because that does help boost the ratings and other stuff. But I don't know. I think I'm trying to like prioritize people getting it from my site because just to be frank, I keep a bigger piece of that pie. If you just a little background information on the stuff if anyone's curious about it. You can go, I'm like self-published, so you can do it through KDP is a way to go, and that's how I've usually done it. And the other way is through Ingram, and I can't make a hardback book for less than like 70 pages on KDP, so I had to go through Ingram, which was a learning curve, but I got through it. And so Ingram is like a major distributor. So it can get you like any bookstore if any like retailer basically wants it. But Ingram takes a piece and then you have to offer like stores like 40% discounts or so. So they'll take the book because they can't just buy it for what everyone else is buying it. They need a discount so they can make a profit too. So I would just get like a little teeny tiny piece of it if it's like from expanded distribution. But the and Amazon takes, I forget what Amazon takes, but the best way for me is if you just get it on my site. There's also, if you got it directly off of Ingram, it would be cheaper than going to like Target or Barnes and Noble. But I haven't set up that link yet. I probably will do that tonight. Someone's saying you can't hear me. Other people seem like they can hear me. Oh, you can hear me. Okay. I misread that. So, thank you for confirming that you can hear me. So, because the setup is a little different today. So I can hear my audio when I'm going to play things, but I can't hear myself through the mic. So thank you guys. I appreciate that. Stacy said she can't wait to have hers. She did pre-order hers. Thank you, Stacy. And I'll be sending that off tomorrow. So very, very, very excited about it all. I had a really good party on Saturday. I'll talk about that at the end because I know you guys are here for politics. I know many of you appreciate like hearing things about my life, but I'll just table that to the very end for those of you who are curious about how that went, and I'll try to pull up some pictures. I don't have any video. I meant to do TikToks and all kinds of different things, but I was just so busy talking to people and doing things that I didn't like record it in a way that I had originally intended and stuff like that. But it was, I got some pictures and we had a good time. Anyway, let's get started talking about Miss Kamala Harris, who was, I think it's so embarrassing that she was our vice president of the United States. It's just insane. So she made this book, right? And a lot of people are having conversations about Joe Biden and his mental fitness, especially after Jake Tapper's book. Now, we were having those conversations while he was president because it was very evident that he had declined. Even if you just watch videos from 2020 when he was campaigning and then watch videos of him in 2024, there is a sharp decline. And I was concerned about him then. I think I played a video last week. I think I put in a TikTok video of just different stuff about the pandemic and him when they were trying to fearmonger when Trump was still president. And they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to take it. Ooh, I don't know if I trust it. Ooh, I don't know. So they were trying to sow fear into people. So even if there were a shot that you could take prior to election, they wanted people to be too scared to take it because they wanted to feel all doom and gloom, because if anyone was optimistic, then that would reflect well on Trump and they didn't want to give him any credit for anything or whatever. So I played some of Biden's videos and people are like, man, he looks different. And that was just 4 years ago. And he wasn't looking good then, but it's still such a sharp decline from then. And it makes me feel, it made me feel very sad watching Biden a lot of times. And I'm like, what is his family doing? Why are they doing this? Why are all these people around him, his staff, just, manhandling him around and not being kind and just saying, hey, you had your day. Like this is a very stressful job, President of the United States. Like it's time to sunset that. I mean, I didn't want Kamala Harris to take over as President of the United States, but they shouldn't have let him run again. Obviously, that was a big error on the Democrats' part. But, I also feel that way about Mitch McConnell. He fell the other day, and of course, Democrats and stuff were laughing and so on. And some Republicans were like, oh, how, even if you don't like him, I think Mike Lee was one of them, was saying, even if you don't like them, then why, don't be cruel. And then people retweeted him making fun of Biden falling down the stairs. We got to try to be consistent here, guys. So if you don't want people make fun of elderly old people, like, you don't do it when it's the other person on the other side. But I just think it's kind of sad overall. And I don't understand. I mean, he's not the Senate Majority Leader now. Just let him kind of go off into the rest of his sunset and let someone else take that seat, you having to be like guided along and being so fragile and having those moments when you spaz out, it's not good. I don't even think for all of us to kind of see. You want to know that people doing the job are up to the task. You also want older generations to help, I guess, train and raise up the new generation, and to know when it's time to go on and let someone else excel, and people just staying in absolutely as long as possible, even when they're so frail. It's just I don't know, giving vampire, I guess. Just it's your time to just kind of sit and relax and drink lemonade with your grandkids or whoever. Don't don't make everybody anxious. Like, if you fall, then we're gonna watch you like break into a bag of bones. Like, it's okay to step down, McConnell. You saved the Supreme Court. You did a lot of good. A lot of people don't like a lot of things you did, but you did some good along the way. Just take your roses and go sit down. I hate it. I just hate kind of watching it and seeing Biden. Sometimes it will make me so sad, because you see people just getting older, and you know what it's like watching people go through some kind of decline. And it made me sad so many times watching Biden. Now, he did a lot of evil he did a lot of evil things that I didn't like, but it was still sad to watch him decline. And it makes me sick to think about Kamala Harris and Kareem and all these people who are covering, saying that we are crazy and spreading cheap fakes and lies by just using our eyes and observing and seeing that Biden wasn't well. People were making fun of Biden prior to, we're pointing out his decline in some ways. Like, there was the sound that's on TikTok. I think no more years than fly, something to that effect, of what Joe Biden in an interview. And that was way before he just collapsed on the debate stage. So people were aware of the issues that he's been having for a while, and they tried to make it seem like Robert Hur's report was just nonsense and disgraceful. And now they got books to sell, and of course people are going to ask questions about that. So I'm going to play two clips from Kamala Harris. One is about Biden and the other is about her running for president, which is hilarious to me. So let me go ahead and play that clip for you guys.
Against now the current president.
You write that President Biden didn't raise his frailty with you, and you write that you didn't really raise it with him. That's extraordinary to read in your account.
Well, let's be more precise. There is a very serious difference between capacity to be president of the United States and the capacity to run for president of the United States. And so it is on that latter piece that I talk about in the book, about my concern about his ability with the level of endurance, energy that it requires, especially running against now the current president.
But isn't it a strange message to the public to say, you know what, you need to be tougher and more able to run a political campaign than actually to be the person behind the desk in the Oval Office, to be the person making decisions in the Situation Room? So did you just not think it was that bad, or did you feel you just couldn't raise it?
I was concerned about his ability to run for re-election, given what the campaign would require.
There's a lot of very well.
So people are, including this reporter from the BBC, like, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense if you're saying you don't think that he was probably good enough to run on the campaign trail, but you didn't raise an issue about him actually running the country. And to infer that, I don't know, it's going to be more demanding actually running to be president than it is like being the president. Doesn't that sound stupid? Doesn't that sound really stupid? Like, you do, campaigning is tiring. Like Trump, like, I mean, I guess there's got to be all kinds of adrenaline going on too. And he apparently doesn't sleep a lot anyway. But like, he was up for like more than 24 hours, like that last night, like of the election or whatever. I was, the last place he went was Michigan, on the like the west side of the state, and I was there, you know, that night. And I was tired, you know, and I was tired, you know, going into that election day. And then I went to that a party that night in the Southeast, where, you know, I live in the Southeast. And now I was like wide awake when those numbers came in, because that was exciting. So maybe that was just like keeping him from sleeping, and you just go, 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 go. But I mean, but they're both very old men, you know. And Trump, he's not as spry as he used to be, but like, and you could say maybe, obviously when you get older, there's some kind of decline, especially when you get to that age. But what he could do versus what Biden could do, there's certain things we're hearing from the Biden team. It's, especially after the election, just night and day between what these men could produce. And it is grueling, but the problem with the Biden team and the Biden White House and Kamala and you know, his press secretary and all these folks, is that they were coddling him while he was president. They weren't having the amount of meetings that they should have had. They weren't having the press conferences that they should have had with him. They, you know, he would travel and do some stuff, but he, you know, they called lids early in the day. They, you know, had to guide where he went a lot and really instruct him like he was a child in some circumstances. And Speaker Johnson talked about how, you know, he didn't really get to meet with the president that often. And his staff were really trying to prevent the president and him from having like a one-on-one sit down. And he's the Speaker of the House. They have to talk about budgets and agendas and whether they're on the same side or not, you know. Well, politically, I guess, as far as parties go, but they're supposed to both be in the interest of serving the people one way or another. So it's not that Biden was up to one task and not the other. He wasn't up to either. They just made the presidency, I don't know, he was, I guess, really a shadow head a lot of times, which is interesting because I've read other things like from Politico, like background stuff, that he's very hands-on. And the idea of Biden being a potted plant, like, isn't really the case. So I wonder how much they were wrestling with what Biden wanted to do versus how they would wrangle him along, you know. You know, I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking like sometimes, I'm not saying my dad is like Joe Biden or whatever, but like he's got a lot of daughters, and we kind of like, Dad, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. And sometimes we're like, Dad, you don't need to do that. When he wants to do something, he's going to do it. So maybe it's just like, you know, them really, really trying to control him in some regards. And sometimes, like when he finally got to talk to Speaker Johnson, they were in a meeting together and he was like, I need to talk to him. And his staff was like, oh, shoot. But when the president says, I need to talk to the speaker, you can't be like, no, you can't do that, you know, and just escort everybody out the room, because that would set off more alarm bells for like Speaker Johnson. So I'm sure he went off script sometimes. I mean, the impromptu press conference that he had after Her's report, that was Joe Biden's idea when he went out there, and then he tried to say, how dare he say I didn't remember things about my son, but you know, when he died, and I got this rosary from anyway. Like it looked terrible, but that wasn't the staff that decided to do that. That was his decision to do it. So he was still pushing forward with some stuff, but we know in other cases, like the auto pen stuff, other folks were really pushing their agenda through him. So I wonder how many of these people just really feel like the bureaucracy is what is supposed to run the country, including the presidency itself. And a president can be a figurehead as long as you have the right progressive people behind the scenes. Because it is amazing, Joe Biden, how if you look at some of the stuff that positions he had in the 90s or even the 2000s, to like how he actually ran the country as the president, or even before he started running things as a president. I was concerned about the kinds of people who are working on his campaign. I'm like, that person is really, really radical. Really radical. like Simone Sanders. I'm like, she was working for Bernie Sanders. she seemed a bit racist too. Like, I don't understand if someone who had this background where they were like pro, lock up criminals and all this stuff, and the borders are important. If you just kind of go back a couple years with the Democrats, and he used to be for the Hyde Amendment and things like that, and then it's like this total switch, and it's like, yeah, boys can be girls if they say so, and judges who want serial child rapists to want those people to be in women's prisons, yeah, we're gonna try to promote them. That's crazy. It's such a huge jump. So I don't know how much is that just him bowing down to his base, or him not knowing everything that's going on and just kind of being pushed along. I don't know the answer to that, guys. I don't know the answer to that, not for certain. Maybe it's just a mix of it. But Kamala is part of the problem. These people have no credibility at all. But this interview part is pretty funny and pathetic to me. So,
stories of your baby nieces, Amara and Leela. When are they going to see a woman in charge in the White House?
In their lifetime, for sure.
Could it be you?
Possibly.
Have you made a decision yet?
No, I have not.
But you say in your book, I'm not done.
That is correct. I am not done. I have lived my entire career a life of service, and it's in my bones. And there are many ways to serve. I've not decided yet what I will do in the future beyond what I am doing right now.
But you've been very clear that it's a possibility you might run again to become president. And in my experience interviewing politicians, when someone says, I'm not done, it means they are thinking seriously about running. But when you look at the bookies' odds, they put you as an outsider, even behind Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I mean, is that underestimating you?
I think there are all kinds of polls that will tell you a variety of things. I've never listened to polls. If I listened to polls, I would have not run for my first office or my second office. And I certainly wouldn't be sitting here in this interview.
This last kind of smile from Kamala. Oh boy. I had retweeted this and I'm like, does she need the money? Like, does she need to do this? To have a reporter from overseas tell you like, yeah, but you're pulling behind The Rock. So what's up with that? I do see Democrats say that they think that she deserves a real shot, and saying stuff like, oh, well, I voted for Kamala and it was the first time I got to vote and I supported her. She needs another shot. Okay. Why? First of all, we just went over her credibility not being there. She's not a very skilled interviewer. Donald Trump would their team would just post entire uncut interviews with Kamala Harris and say, our new ad just dropped. That's not a good sign. When your political opponent can just put you out there word for word, no cuts. Her team would take stuff that Donald Trump didn't even say. They cut all these different things and infer meaning onto out of context clips and try to run them as ads and social media stuff. They do crazy stuff when it came to Donald Trump. Donald Trump's team could literally be like, this is who she is. This is what she said. We're not going to do any cuts. Just listen to the full 30 minutes and you will not like this person. She isn't likable. She's very cringe and she's just not good with the interviews. And she was so radical, and I don't think that's going to change. You know, her record still speaks for itself when she was in California and when she was vice president, when she was running to be president. That stuff just didn't go away, guys. All the stuff you said about trans and the wall being a medieval project and calling ICE like the KKK, likening them to the KKK. And now we have all this violence against ICE agents. Crockett is saying the same kind of stuff with the, you know, KKK. And if she wants to one day pursue higher office, you know, that stuff's going to come back to bite her as well. And she might try to pretend like she's a moderate or whatever, or got some sense suddenly. But in the long run, if you want to seek some kind of higher office than appealing to your, your district or something, you have to remember that everyone has a camera. Everyone has a camera. And we can pull this stuff up on their internet. We screen record things. When I worked at Michigan Republican Party, and we would watch the news. We wouldn't watch Fox News. I shared the office with the digital director, and I was a creative director. So he liked to say that I made the bullets and he fired them, right? So I'd make the videos, the graphics, or whatever, and he'd push it out. So he's like, we're not going to watch Fox because Fox appeals to our side. And we don't need to know what our side is saying. We need to know what their side is saying. So he would put it on CNN. So I had to watch CNN like every day. And when something came up where there's some kind of interview with a Democrat and they said something crazy or something that we could use, we would send it off to some person. I don't know if it was RNC or somewhere. And we'd be like, hey, we want this clip from this thing. And they would make sure they cut it and they would send it to us. And that was a great resource. People watch this stuff all the time, nonstop. And people were reposted, put on TikTok. We didn't even have TikTok back then. My gosh, my TikTok rate, my GOP would have been so good. But I really grew our numbers on Facebook. I had some very viral videos, like my 50 reasons not to vote for Hillary Clinton. The first video that kind of really took off, it was a Friends Day. And because Facebook was doing, these Friends Day kind of videos. So I did one about Hillary's friends. And so, that really went around, and I had a fun job just like constantly like going after the Democrats. But yeah, people watch this stuff. They keep this stuff. The RNC War Room is really good about watching these different clips from these different news networks and putting up there for like opposition research and stuff. If you want to make videos that are just mocking different Democrats, you could just literally follow the RNC War Room and just pick clips off of there and cut them together, and I guess maybe Trump War Room stuff. The only thing about them though is that they will just have a snippet. So sometimes you might not have all the full context that you need to. And I like to be really fair, even with the people that I'm attacking, because I don't want someone to go look up the context of what I'm talking about and what I'm mocking the Democrats over, be like, she was dishonest, because that blows my credibility. I know a lot of people don't care about that stuff, I guess, as much as I care about it in this sort of game, but I want to be fair to the people I'm criticizing. I think that's only right, but all this stuff is going to come back and bite them. And she thought that she could run. The reason why the 2020 campaign worked so well for Biden, with him being like decrepit and still not being able to get around a lot, and not talking as well as he used to, having to call lids a lot. The reason why it worked for him is because we were in the middle of COVID. So he didn't need big crowds because you couldn't have big crowds. So it might be a room of like 50 people who are social distanced. Maybe that's all the people they could have got, but It doesn't matter because that's how it was, because it was a pandemic. And when Trump would have a big rally, they'd be like, he's killing people, you know? So they get to keep like fear mongering, pushing that stuff in the media, and Biden's doing the responsible thing by like having 5 people. Biden got to do a lot of interviews via Zoom. There's a lot of places he didn't have to go. He could just be in his home talking to people from the Breakfast Club or wherever. He didn't have to do all this traveling because of COVID. It really worked well for him. You know, sometimes it wasn't a short campaign spurt or whatever. It was a normal campaign length, but it was a very particular sort of campaign that he got to do that really suited him and his age, that he probably got away with a lot. Just like Kamala Harris having that super short campaign was the best chance she was ever going to get. People pretend like that was such a huge detriment to her. No, they were hiding her. What was the first 40 days of her running? She didn't do any kind of interviews for the first like 40 days. And she only had like 105 or 6 or 8 or something like that days to run, barely over 100. And the first 40 of them, she didn't do interviews. And when people would bring up her really radical positions in the past, so she wouldn't say that she changed her mind. She wouldn't explain why she's changed her mind. There would be some spokesperson, some kind of nameless spokesperson that would make the claim that she changed her mind on the position, but they wouldn't explain why. And they wouldn't really press her about this kind of stuff. And she'd really have to answer for some of the crazy stuff that she did. And fortunately, Trump took some of the crazy positions that she had and blasted her in ads. There are 2 unlikely sources that really led to Kamala Harris's downfall. One of them was Sunny from The View, when she asked her, like, what would you do differently than Joe Biden? And she didn't have a good answer for that. So when people are very unhappy with the person in power and you're saying you're not going to be very different, it's a change election and you aren't the change. That's very bad for you. Okay. So, sure, it's not Sunny's fault that Kamala Harris didn't have a good answer for that. But that was a huge, terrible moment for her. She probably thought she was just going on, oh, I'm going to The View. All these people love me, you know, and thought it'd be so friendly. And that really screwed her. The other unlikely source that really led to her downfall was CNN. Because there was a report on CNN, the K-File, I think is what it's called, that did the story about her survey that she filled out about how she wanted the taxpayer dollars to pay for the illegal detainees transgender care or whatever. And it wasn't like something you just like checked off a box. She like actually like wrote in the affirmative about it. Whatever staffer that filled that out, I don't know, maybe it was her, maybe it was a staffer. So that got brought up and reported on. And so because it was reported on and people were talking about it in the news, you had the audio of them talking about it in the news. And because they were talking about it in the news, you heard other people like on the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne, talking about it. And like, I don't want my money go paying for transgender detainees, legal detainees or whatever. And after they said it on a huge show like the Breakfast Club, that is like so urbanly urbanly based or whatever. The Trump campaign started really circulating. Everybody was circulating it, but the Trump campaign started using that in ads, and apparently Charlamagne like tried to get them to stop using that, and they're like, no, we're going to keep using it. So and those ads became what they believed was the most effective because they poured a ton of money into it, and it probably did really help to secure his victory in these swing states and stuff, because one, it's just crazy. It shows a misplaced priority. If you want our taxpayer dollars to go to this, if this is what's on your mind, this is a priority on your heart, when there's so many things going on in the country, and it speaks to your poor judgment. Like obviously men are men and women are women and they can't change. Like there's people who believe that. There are people who are just devoted to the wokeness, but it really ruined her. But She's the one who decided to put that survey out. She's the one who decided to say all this crazy stuff in the past. People just pointing the finger at it. They have a responsibility. The media have a responsibility to talk about this stuff. The voters have a responsibility to search it out. We should be informed when we go to the polls and make a decision about who we're voting for, whether it's school board, sheriff, state rep, Senate candidate, whoever. You should be doing your research, and the media should want to inform things fairly. They should want the people to be informed, and we shouldn't have to find out all these things after the fact. Way, like, oh, if I had only known, I wouldn't have voted for them. Well, you should have found a way to find out the information, and the media shouldn't have hidden it from you. In some cases, like with the Hunter Biden laptop and whatnot. But there's too much stuff for Kamala. She's not going to bounce back. She didn't do a good job as vice president. That wasn't as successful like presidency, and Biden kept trying to tie her to stuff like, oh, we were like hand in glove or whatever kind of language he would use. But at the same time, behind the scenes, that they were kind of distant because it didn't seem like their teams liked each other all very much. Speaking of woke, Gavin Newsom had something dumb to say. We'll talk about Gavin and then we'll kind of move on to what I wanted to say about Tucker, but here we go.
60s world. You got the Supreme Court talking about getting rid of the Voting Rights Act, and that's very real.
Yeah. That
may likely happen in just a matter of months. I mean, they're rewriting history, censoring historical facts. It's a unbelievable moment. All this anti-woke stuff is just anti-black. Period, full stop. All the CRT, ESG, DEI stuff, that's all this is. It's this great purge, and it's happening in real time. And I'm sitting here, and I feel like, luckily I'm governor, but like we're not doing enough. Right. We're not calling this out. We're not drawing a line here. And again, it's not about Democrats or Republicans. It's about who we've
right and wrong,
man. Yeah,
right
and goddamn wrong. Daylight and darkness.
I feel like anytime
60s world.
Okay, so there was another clip I saw today on Fox News. I'm talking about this interview with Gavin Newsom. I'm not familiar with the podcast, but that he's on. But he was talking about how he had to hustle and different stuff to kind of take care of himself. Which Gavin Newsom, his parents had money. He grew up with money. Like it's a laughable kind of idea. You go on a podcast that appeals to urban viewers and you try to make yourself seem, I don't know, relatable and down and like you had some kind of struggle, and it's just not true. I don't understand. Like I know people like want to eat the rich and have all these kinds of different attitudes, but the thing that works so well about Donald Trump is that he loves his money. He enjoys having lavish things, and he became an icon because people wanted to be like that. People dream of growing up, doing well, and if you love your parents, you probably want to buy your mama a house, your dad a house, take care of them, give back to them in a way that, because they gave back, they did so much for you, so you want to return the favor and take care of your family. Who dreams about being poor their whole life? Like people want... You got a good recipe, you make a good chili. Maybe one day you want to see that in stores. You write a good book. Maybe you want to see that in Barnes & Noble, and all over the place and be on New York Times bestsellers list. Maybe you want to do that stuff. You don't dream of just, I don't know, living on the streets. Nobody does that. So when Trump is like, hey, I'm rich. I have all these buildings and my name is everywhere. He does all this branding. He does this show Apprentice. The theme song is money, 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 and it is just flaunting it. Does all these jokes about having so much money and being really rich. There was a really funny, maybe it was SNL when he like wanted a car and he's like, "Ooh, I'm going to buy this car." I'm like, "But my kids are on this car." He's like, "Okay, I'll buy your kids too." And he writes a check and like buys the kids. So, and at the same time, since they're like into construction and stuff, he was never embarrassed about how much money he made, but they still seem like they were kind of down to earth, maybe because he never kind of talked to, uppity or anything like that. I don't know. And people just thought he was cool, and he would do things like, the wrestling stuff, and it was really this icon, pop culture icon. So, a lot of people did rap songs about how they want to be like Donald Trump. He was in different movies and TV shows and so on, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and so on. And people didn't really decide that they hated his guts until he started to run for president, because that's just how it works. Okay. Well, he ran for president and he ran as a Republican. Okay. That was the issue there. But Gavin Newsom, he's so slimy and such a liar, and just unashamed about how many lies he would go on in the different shows and talk about. When he did an interview when he had Charlie Kirk on his podcast, was he saying stuff like, "Oh, if you're anti-woke, that's just racism"? He didn't say stuff like that, but he wants to appeal to these people and be like, "Oh, when people talk about this stuff, it's just really because they hate Black people." Like, how come when he's talking to them about the civil rights, the Voting Act or whatever being in jeopardy, that the Democrats are making the case, or the lawyers are making the case, or trying to keep it in place, that Democrats, they won't support Black people running for office? That's what they're really concerned about. Because they know that what they're really concerned about is that Black voters, for whatever reason, they are staunchly voting Democrat. So if you have a majority Black districts, they will likely vote in a staunch Democrat. But if you have to spread some of those Black voters into other areas, their voices are still being heard, but it's not just this particular sect of people controlling this area, where you may have to carve out the map in all kinds of different crazy ways to get these majority Black districts. You're going to lose a lot of Democrat seats if you don't have all these particular rules about race. Why do you need the majority Black districts? It's a scam for the Democrats, guys. It's how they keep power. That's why they're terrified of it. This is going to really hurt them. It's going to really hurt them. But he doesn't want to be honest about what's going on, because his goal there is to convince these people that he's one of them. He knows what it's like to be down and have to hustle and all this stuff. And it's those Republicans who are racist. But this woke stuff, is he there talking about the trans stuff? That's what's a lot of this woke is revolved around. But if you talk about that stuff, you'll get like Charlamagne, be like, "Nah, we don't want all that stuff." Gavin. To me, if you've seen Cobra Kai, he's like Terry Silver to me. Like, I fully believe that Gavin Newsom would pay money to rig a child's karate tournament. That's how he comes off to me. He comes off very like 80s, villain, very slimy. But I don't think he's gonna get the nom. I think California's kind of really messed up. I know he wants to be president, but he's got a lot of baggage too, a ton of baggage, and just lies all the time. Not an authentic bone in his body, not at all. But no, this anti-woke stuff is not anti-Black. I saw this video on TikTok that was pretty funny to me. And a content creator was talking, and he's not on the right. But he was talking about how a lot of Black, he's like, go talk to your dad, your grandparents, like people who really went out there and did the work. He's like, they are conservative. Like, maybe they don't vote like they're conservative. He's like, but like they're Republican or whatever. He's like, but they are conservative. Go ask them how they feel about these different social issues. Go ask them how they feel about the LGBT stuff. Go ask them what they think about abortion and some other stuff. Like, they are conservative. And I thought that was funny because my dad, who is basically a Trump apologist, if we're being frank, he also thought he was a Democrat and was voting Democrat like up until the 2000s. And my eldest sister was going to school. She was in high school, and she had a teacher, like a government teacher, who was conservative or whatever, but he like did a test to see where people stood on the issues. And this is in an urban school, an inner city school, and most kids found out that they were, surprise, surprise, actually very conservative. So she went home and she's like, Dad, I'm a conservative. He's like, what? And she's like, Dad, you are also a conservative. You're a conservative. So she kind of laid it out for him. And he didn't like a lot of stuff about Bill Clinton and the Democrats and other stuff anyway. So I guess it wasn't that hard of a switch when she kind of opened his eyes to it. And it's I don't remember him like being a Democrat really. As long as I've been interested in politics, I've been a Republican. But I remember him listening to Rush Limbaugh. I remember him taking us to go see Hannity and Combs, like when they came to Detroit. And he would go to barber shops to argue with people about, to stick up for Bush and debunk conspiracy theories about 9/11, and now he can just argue with people on Facebook. I don't think he argues with people that much on Facebook about politics anymore. He used to do it a lot. I think he just mostly sticks to just ministering to people and talking about Jesus and stuff. But he still watches a lot of Fox News, nonstop. So there are a lot of people out there who have conservative values. They just haven't connected those dots. And I do think that is funny. Just I was going through the comments, and a lot of people are like, "Yep, it's true. A lot of these Black men are actually conservative." So there's always been opportunity for Republicans to reach out and try to make that appeal, but there's been a lot of consultants who haven't wanted to take the time to do that. Maybe they think that's a waste of time. There's been a lot of candidates who don't want to take that time. And it is really like a, full year kind of outreach project. And that's what was so good about like Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA and them continuously going on these college tours and talking to people and not just, waiting till the fall and an election time to go knock on doors and collect data on whether or not they're going to go vote on election day. That's what actually people do mostly when they go knock on your door. They're not there to actually convince you to go vote for somebody. They're there to make sure to see, okay, they're going to vote this election day. We just have to make sure we drive them out to the polls. They don't have time to convince you as a lifelong Black Democrat to go vote for John James or something. They don't have the time for that. So, the activists in these organizations, they have to do that year round. So I do appreciate, Turning Point continuously engaging what Charlie was doing for year round work. Anyway, I do want to talk about this clip of Tucker Carlson. He went to a Turning Point event, and there's a few clips, I guess, kind of going around, but this one about him being worth $50 million seems kind of odd to me, and I'll let you know why, but I'll play it for you guys first.
I don't understand it because it makes no sense. Like, you're worth $50 million.
I'm not worth $50 million.
30 to 50.
Get off the fucking internet, son. Don't stop believing that stuff.
Oh.
$50 million?
Go back to cable news.
Sorry.
No, but I'm just, look.
Okay, you're too annoying. You're too annoying. So I like the last chick who like disagreed with me, and then we could have like a normal conversation.
All right.
But you're like telling me you're worth $50 million. What? Stop.
Okay, you got real defensive there. I just read a number that's like a lot of money. Jesus Christ, calm down.
Don't use that phrase.
You're worth.
We're done.
Well, look.
Just stop.
Can I say one?
No, you can't. Not after you say that. Leave.
All right.
So, it seemed a little odd to me to drop the F-bomb there and then be like, oh, how dare you say Jesus Christ in vain. It just kind of seemed like a conversation he didn't want to have, so he pushed him along his merry way. And so I already mentioned Gavin Newsom, trying to I don't know, get a little street cred and pretending like he had to struggle more than he had to. And Tucker here flipping out over the $50 million allegation. I think it's supposed to, the perception that people are supposed to have is it's absurd if you think that he makes that much. Now, I don't know how much exactly Tucker Carlson makes, but I would think that 50 million is not an absurd number. I would think it's kind of low. I would think that's a low estimate. When he had his contract with Fox, I mean, not starting out, I guess, but at one point it was like 20 million. That's a lot of money, So he's making a lot of money. He's been in politics and media a long time. He started things and failed at things or whatever, but it's not like he came from nothing and grew up from nothing. He had a very wealthy background, very privileged background, and we can we're going to look at a video about that, I guess. But yeah, he's made a lot of money through the years. He makes a lot through engagement as well. He's made a lot of money through selling books as well. He's cost Fox News a lot of money, but he's made a lot of money himself. And even when he goes to go speak at events, his salary for those things, how much he gets paid, I don't know the exact numbers for that, but I'm talking like six figures. Six figures for that kind of stuff. So there's some people who've made a lot of money and are like, oh, I kind of made enough and I'm done. Like there's this particular streamer, I saw some people do a video about how he turned off donations, and he's like, I've made $40 million off of streaming and I don't need your money anymore. He's like, I appreciate you guys want to send it, but he's like, you guys can go spend your money on something else. I don't need it. So I'm not taking the donations anymore. I'm assuming he's still like, I'm not, I don't know, but he could still be getting money monetization from people watching stuff, but people will send a ton of donations, whether it's on Twitch or TikTok, to different creators who've gotten a lot of stuff from those platforms and are pretty well off. And so he's just like, I don't need it. I've made $40 million doing this thing. I appreciate it. And he kept that off. But there's some people who definitely don't need money who continuously always still ask for it. And I don't have an issue with people continuously making money. I guess I'm just kind of baffled by people who pretend like they don't have it or pretend like they have way less than what they do. And I get maybe they're concerned about how their audience will react to it, but if you're on the right, like, why don't we all aspire to do more? Like, and if you earned it, which, again, like Tucker came from money or whatever, but if we're talking about stuff that you've earned, like, I just don't think there should be shame in that, especially if you are giving back. I don't know what people's charitable contributions are like, but I just think if I had it, I just would not be like ashamed. Like, yeah, I made some money from doing this stuff. And again, I would give back a lot in other kind of ways, but pretending like, oh, 50 million, oh, bleep you. Like that, it's such a weird reaction to me. But Tucker Carlson years ago had some comments about Bill O'Reilly, and it kind of seems like he is sort of this person that he's criticized in the past. So I'm going to play this clip, and then I'm going to play something from Milk Bar that has more clips that are kind of mashed together with the background of Tucker. So back in the day, he had some comments about Bill O'Reilly that I think kind of shine a light on some Tucker antics today.
Bill O'Reilly's success is built on the perception that he really is who he claims to be. If he ever gets caught out of character, it's over.
That's right. I say before that, you know, Bill O'Reilly's really talented. He's more talented than I am. You know, he's got a lot more viewers than I do. He's a better communicator than I am. But I think there's kind of a deep phoniness at the center of his shtick. And again, as I say, the shtick is sort of built on this perception that he is the character he plays. He is every man. This kind of, he's not right-wing, he's a populist. This kind of Irish Catholic populist fighting for you against the powers that be. And that's great as a shtick, but I'm just saying the moment that it's revealed not to be true, it's over. The moment he gets caught, you know, slapping a flight attendant on the Concorde for not bringing his champagne fast enough, or barking at, you know, one of his subordinates to take the, you know, brown M&Ms out of my bowl and get me a bottle of Evian, or something like that. The second that makes Page 6, it's over, right? Because the whole thing is predicated on the fact that he is who he says he is. And just nobody is that person, especially not someone who makes $1 million, you know, many millions a year.
So, I don't know, people have been pointing out that he kind of just seems to be like this criticism that he had of Bill O'Reilly years ago. So this one's a longer mashup. I got a comment said that the F-bomb, but absolutely refuses to use the Lord's name as a slur. You know, I thought, well, I don't say just be throwing his name around. You know, I don't think you should, but when it's like, don't take the Lord's name in vain. Dennis Prager, I guess, had mentioned that it's really about like misusing God and not like simply saying his name. Like you say it, you know, just kind of throwing it out there, then it's like a swear word, I guess, basically, but it's about you misrepresenting like his name. It's like there's a deeper kind of intention behind it when you like break that commandment. But anyway, let's watch this compilation.
And again, as I say, the shtick is sort of built on this perception that he is the character he plays. He is every man. This kind of, he's not right-wing, he's a populist, fighting for you against the powers that be. This is the truck that I drove this morning. This is the truck I drive. It's a 1987 Chevrolet Silverado. There are no electronics in this. There's no air conditioning, there's no radio, and there's no way for the government to turn off my engine if I'm disobedient. And that's great as a shtick, but I'm just saying the moment that it's revealed not to be true, it's over.
It's like you're worth $50 million.
I'm not worth $50 million.
30 to 50.
Get off the fucking internet, son. Don't stop believing that stuff.
No. But see, I'm an out of the closet elitist. I don't run around pretending to be a man of the people. I'm absolutely not a man of the people at all.
I had the privilege of not being interested in money because I didn't grow up in a family where we were worried about money. So I just never really thought about money.
Tucker's great-great-great-grandfather was known as the Cattle King of California, the largest landowner in the United States in the 19th century. Just to give you an idea of the enormous wealth.
Well, it's kind of like a Kramer versus Kramer situation, right? They got a divorce and she took off.
Tucker and his brother did end up with part of the oil and gas minerals that she owned in her estate. So even that went well for Tucker.
Well, I'm like extraordinarily loaded just from like money I, inherited from my number of trust funds.
From the Swanson deal.
She wasn't your mother.
That's how I felt. I had a mother. I mean,
that's
my
right.
dad got remarried to someone I think of as my mother.
1979, the father, he's going to marry Patricia Caroline Swanson. She is the heir to the Swanson billion-dollar fortune, the frozen food family.
Serve Swanson dinner soon. I'm like extraordinarily loaded just from like money I, inherited.
You're a trust fund baby, are you not?
No, completely. I've never needed to work.
I think there's kind of a deep phoniness at the center of his shtick.
I worked in a kitchen in 1985. Everybody in the kitchen had a criminal record. Every single one. But of course, every dishwasher has been to prison for something, right?
I mean, I do really prefer the feudal model, which is it's the model of all time.
One thing you learn when you grow up in a castle and look out across the moat every day at the hungry peasants out in the village is you don't want to stoke envy among the proletariat.
This Swanson heir essentially posing a question to this audience that they never really have to ponder.
What sane person would choose to live, and let's do top end, $30 million, 16th floor apartment in a crowded city over a log cabin in a pine forest with the wood stove glowing as the snow falls?
$50 million, right? Because the whole thing is predicated on the fact that he is who he says he is. And just nobody is that person, especially not someone who makes $1 million, or many millions a year.
Actually, he's been able to get, a $20 million a year contract.
So I have a book out coming Monday.
And I'm not rich, but I paid my house off.
He sold his Washington, D.C. home for $3.95 million in July of 2020 to purchase, a $2.9 million property in Boca Grande, a small community in Southwest Florida.
We have 4 kids, and they all left. They all went to boarding school when they were young, so we've lived alone for a while.
No, trust me, you will send your kids to boarding school.
Oh, no, I will not. I promise you that. I love my kids, and I want to hang on to them and love them and give them a kiss at night and not have to talk to them via AT&T. Jesus.
Okay.
You rich people.
Mike, you got real defensive there. I just read a number that's like a lot of money.
I don't know what happened to all the money. I don't really care. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, so I guess I didn't realize that he was I knew he was rich. I didn't know he was like uber loaded, but like that. Yeah, I just don't know. I guess it's just kind of a different world. I guess I guess he was a lot more honest about it before. I just don't think it's I don't know, people crave authenticity online and in media. And I mean, people watch Kardashians and all kinds of different stuff, there's Real Housewives, and there's an interest, like a natural interest with people who have just a lot of means. So to me, it's just very odd for people to downplay it like that. I don't know. Like, somebody help me out here. I just don't understand. Like, I understand that he feels like he has to appeal to maybe these populist sorts of folks and to become this character he thinks that Bill Riley was trying to be. But and maybe the old Tucker was a little too snobby, but but you could be rich and not be snobby, right? So that was his problem. You don't have to like downplay it, I guess. It's just very strange to me. It's a very foreign world to me. I, didn't grow up in a lot of means, and there were times when, we lost our home, and so I just there was a time when and I'm not trying to brag or whatever, but or make myself seem relatable or whatever, but we were living off $2 Taco Bell menu stuff, meal deals. If you can imagine Taco Bell having a $2 meal deal, because Taco Bell is like expensive right now. A cheese gordito crunch is like $6, but it's weird to me. Someone's gonna have to explain it to me. I would just be like, sure. I guess I would have been like, why are you trying to shame success? I guess. Like or what's the point of you like mentioning that number? What's your intentions there? Like, I would have tried to like call him out on that, as opposed to pretending like it's so absurd that he would make that much money. But maybe it is absurd that someone lowballed him like that. I don't know. So someone's gonna have to talk me through it, because I don't understand. I don't would prefer if people are just real. That's what I would prefer. If I want fiction, I'll read it, I'll write it. I'll watch it on TV, I'll watch it in the movies. You know, I don't think that's why you watch commentators and stuff. I mean, some people like the theatrics of some folks, like Alex Jones or whatever. But I don't know. People tell you the news. People tell you their opinions about the news, and all these commentators and stuff, and people build trust between them, and they expect that they're being real about themselves and they're being real about the information that they're giving. And if you're not real with who you are, is the information back? Like, you always have to discern and do your own research and not just trust somebody because they're on the internet, obviously. But I just don't know. It's a bad look to me. This was so I don't know. I'll let you know when I'm rich. Yeah. But there are some people, again, like Donald Trump. He's always been super rich, but to so many people, even though his wealth was just so beyond what so many people could comprehend, they still aspire to that, and he still seemed down to earth to so many different people. Like, you don't have to pretend I guess there's a difference of social classes, though, with different incomes and different circles. I guess it's still kind of different worlds, even with all that kind of income, blue bloods, and so on. I don't know. Very foreign to me. Very foreign to me. Anyway, the lack of SNAP benefits is looming upon us because of the government shutdown. I guess right now with Republicans and Democrats, it's really a game of chicken to see who is going to get the blame for that. The Democrats, believe that they have a lot of leverage right now. But I don't know. I mean, the White House is being very partisan with their messaging as far as pointing the finger at the Democrats. I don't know if they themselves can drive that message home. The Republicans, like the Speaker Johnson, have been very much consistent in saying, we did our part and the Democrats do not want to compromise. They are holding everyone hostage. And that does need to continue to be the narrative. I don't know how much I like it from the White House. There was something crazy I found on the website. I'm gonna have to table that for tomorrow, but they're being hyper partisan right now. And I don't love them running the White House like it's a campaign office, but the Democrats do need to compromise on this. There's a lot of people out there hurting, or who will be hurting, and not just people think welfare queens about the women who had 12 kids or something. There's there's elderly people who, depend on those benefits and stuff too. I'm not against social benefits. I am concerned sometimes about how much people depend on them, because dependency equals control. And let's just be for real. The Democrats are hoping that level of dependency will grant them control, and that's why they're testing people right now. That's why they're pushing people to the limits. And over illegals getting healthcare, or some of the pork that they have in the bills, or there's also the Obamacare subsidies, which they negotiated and put those extensions in themselves, and it's all falling apart right now. And they let you know that, yes, this is our opportunity, that we have leverage. So they're playing a game of chicken with the American people, and I don't know how long it's going to last. but it's not good. It's not good. And we're just, I guess, waiting to see who's getting the blame for this. If the Democrats are going to get the blame for people not getting their SNAP benefits, I think the government will shut back on very soon. If they can use this as a real political weapon, it might go on for some time. So we'll see. Hopefully, people will point the finger at the Dems where it belongs. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. That is a show for today. You guys can go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on website, articles, video, etc. If you like what I do, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost a stream, run my site, all that good stuff. And I have not made $40 million streaming or anything like that. So yeah, sometimes I do need some support from you guys. I do appreciate that you'll give it. I thank you guys for sharing and watching all that stuff. It all does really help. If you guys want to check out my book Bigger, like there's my character right there. We just call him Baby. We never gave him a name, so I guess his name is just Baby. But there's a link in the description if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube that'll take you to my book website where you guys can pre-order the book and get it for yourself. And I thank you to those of you who've already like checked it out and have gotten it. But and I want to thank everybody who came to my book signing the other day. I don't have any videos from it, but let's see if I can pull up like a photo and stuff. See. Yeah, we took some pictures. My we had a great time. I was just dog tired. That's why I haven't made like any kind of videos about it. I was just so tired about after it was all said and done. I had to take my dad to the airport early that morning on Saturday because he had a flight. He preached somewhere in DC. So his flight was at 9. So I had to get him there at 7. So I had to pick him up at 6, which means, well, I got up at 5:30, just changed really quick, washed up really quick, went over his house, took him to the airport. I didn't go back to sleep. And we had to finish setting up, and it was just kind of nonstop the whole day. And so when I got home, I crashed, and I was tired on Sunday. I still felt exhausted. So I did get sleep last night. So I do feel fine or better, I guess. So I'll make some more content about it. But there's me sitting next to my artist, Tina. Some of you guys follow her. We had it in her studio, and then there's like this other room. So there's the cover of the book. So there's Tina signing. This is my uncle, my mom's brother. And so Tina did a demonstration on how to like make the dinosaur. So people colored it in. And so he took a while like doing his drawing. And we discovered that he colors like my mom does. So that was a nice little surprise. There's a lot of duplicates. So that's him drawing. There's another one of my cousins there, my second cousin. He drew his picture too. And there's Tina like doing the demonstration on the board and people watching. So we had some food. We had little tacos and pizza rolls. There's my niece with baby right there. She was so happy to see him. So it was so worth making. It was so worth making. She kept going in the room and touching him and stuff. That's me reading the book. That's at the page where it's like the dedication for my mom. Right in front of me is my nephew Daniel, who inspired the book. we had, that backdrop and those balloons. Tina made the balloons in the back. I blew up the I want to be bigger. One of the bees had a little tear in it, so it wasn't inflating the way that it was supposed to, but everything came together. It looked, nice. And this was kind of like in the middle of the day. And I had some friends from politics who, like Nancy here, who popped up. And that's just some of the stuff that happened that Saturday. So I have more pictures and stuff on my phone, but those are the ones my sister sent me on Facebook. So that was easier to kind of grab. So anyway, we had a great time. I hope you guys can consider picking up my book. And if you go to my website, yeah, that's what it looks like right now with the cover photo of Bigger. And you guys can just enter from there. And pick up the books. So I had all my books available. So Bigger is my 19th is my 19th published book. Oh, and a friend from mine from TikTok came, Marcel. His handle is the Black C.S. Lewis right now, but he came and that was so cool. So I was so happy to see him. So it was just really nice, if you were wondering. And tomorrow's the official release day. So I might have another. I have an interview. It's going to be in Lansing on Thursday. So I'm trying to see if I can do a book signing somewhere, because I'll just happen to be up there and it's going to be on the news. So why not try? So I'm trying to get that situated, and I'll let people know as soon as I know. Maybe I can't make it work, but we'll see. And I just got an email about another media hit. So I got to check that out and get off the air so I can follow up on that. Anyway, God bless you guys. And I will see you tomorrow.